So conscious leadership, whole self, full communication. Again, going back to psychological safety, knowing that you can say all that and that you won't get roasted, that it won't get turned back on you, and then being able to point that giant intellect that's needed in that giant conscious intellect that's needed in business to say, oh, these are the three things I need to do. And better yet, these are the three things I can do that are within my control. And I can firmly and say with certainty to the board, here are all the things outside of our control. But as a business unit, as a team, as a division, what have you, we're going to focus on these things. And speaking from that place, they'll know from their core that they're speaking with certainty. They're speaking with purpose, and they're speaking with truth.
Welcome to the Conscious Leadership Revolution podcast, where conscious leaders unite to unlock their highest potential so we can change the way the game is being played. Welcome to the Conscious Leadership Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Susan Hobson, flying solo today. Tracy Allen is showing up in service to her people today, but she will be back next week. And I have a very special guest, a dear friend of mine who I have been dying to get on the mic. This man that you're about to meet is nothing but a well of wisdom in the area of conscious leadership. This is my friend Raymond Ussery, leader and fractional COO for high-performing teams. He works remotely with solo entrepreneurs, leaders, and service businesses across the globe. For over 15 years, he's led global professional services and project management organizations, managing multi-million-dollar budgets and delivering for high-profile clients in industries from telecom to luxury retail. His work blends sharp execution with human connection because results matter, but people matter more. Ooh, I can't wait to dig into that. He's been a martial arts instructor for 2 decades. He served on nonprofit boards and founded the nonprofit Love is My Religion. I can't wait for him to talk about that. Whether guiding digital transformation, driving operational excellence, or supporting emerging leaders, he focuses on clarity, alignment, impact, and I'm going to add to that list, conscious leadership. Raymond!
Oh, Susan, thank you so much.
Welcome to the show, my friend.
Oh, thank you. And thank you for that introduction. Thank you for your partnership. It's great to be here. The only thing that would make this better is if we were like doing this over a cup of coffee and really donuts. So,
in Lake
but this is best.
Chapala, Mexico, too. Nonetheless, that's definitely next up on my bucket list. We're definitely going to make that coffee happen in real life. Raymond has been so generous to be collaborating with me and really donating some of his awesome services on behalf of Team Elite's mission to change the way this game is being played through conscious leadership when the world needs leaders consciously at the helm more than it's ever needed, in my humble opinion. Raymond, tell my audience a little bit more about yourself, sir, and a little bit more about the mission that you're on as a conscious leader in this world right now.
Absolutely. But I'll say it's my calling in life that all people are love in action. And going straight to the business world, that's difficult to say in any boardroom or any client I've ever had. So immediately the coat or the vest, whatever that I put on, my mission of love is psychological safety. Psychological safety and conscious leadership are linked. They're bosom buddies. They walk hand in hand. So being able to provide that space of love / psychological safety, a passion of mine, and that's my foundation.
I love it, and I know it to be true about you. Why don't you tell us what I really am eager to hear about is a little bit of the inspiration behind the mission. So where did that love come from in the first place?
Yeah, okay, I'll tell you. So the mission to love, the mission to provide psychological safety, it comes from any number of places. Leaping ahead, thinking about the legacy, like what do I want to leave behind when I, leave this mortal coil. But honestly, a doctor's visit, in Seattle, and my doctor and listeners, I'm perfectly healthy today, all is well. But my doctor said, "Oh, this looks like a positive test for colon cancer. This doesn't look good." And
Uh-oh.
if you're familiar at all with the Charlie Brown cartoons where the teachers make the mwah, 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 mwah voice where you really can't, they're saying
Mhm.
something, but you can't hear what they're saying. That was
Mhm.
my experience, whatever my doctor was saying about this could be a false positive. You're perfectly healthy. Don't worry about it. In between the time I had that conversation and the time the second test results came back and it was proof that I was perfectly healthy, I started to think about what do I want to leave behind? What corners of myself are unexplored? How do I explore those corners? How do I bring it all forward? There's an old quote uh, that I'm gonna mangle, but it's something about if you don't bring what is inside you out to the world, if
Mhm.
you leave it inside you, it will destroy you.
Oh,
Like
wow.
that
I
passion,
resonate with
that
that.
energy, you have
Mhm.
to one has to bring it out. So
Mhm.
inside that crucible, I decided to start the nonprofit. Love is my religion. I got really serious about doing some healing, and this is
Mhm. Let's
the
talk
the
about
dots.
it.
Yeah, the dots all connect eventually. But I'm gonna leap ahead to 2020 when both of my parents died within six
Oh,
months of each other,
Raymond.
and it was brutal. But as a the listeners I'm a stoic black man. That's the way I roll. If I walk into a meeting, I provide love, but I also provide the business face. Like I'm providing certainty. Everything's going to get done. No one has to worry. I'm in that role as a vice president of professional services at the time of my parents' death. And I have my first ever panic attack.
Mm.
And I have a panic attack while on a client call.
Oh,
I,
Raymond.
I couldn't finish, but I was able to message my teammates and brilliantly talk about teamwork. They brilliantly covered for me while I literally caught my breath. I came back and I finished the call, but I knew that I had to find something that that I couldn't live my life panicking in life or in front of my customers. And
Mhm.
that honestly, that led me to one of my first experiences with entheogens or psychedelics.
Mhm.
It led me to seeking healing in that way, and the healing was like I don't have the words for it. It's you probably heard people say it's ineffable, but 30 years of talk therapy in 2 hours, it was a I saw everything I needed to see, but not only saw it, I felt it, and the specter of my parents' death was lifted off my shoulders, and I could acknowledge that they had their own life path. And of course, they died when they needed to die. They weren't going to stick around and stay on my schedule like when I would want them to depart. That doesn't make
Mhm.
sense. Everyone has their own life path.
Mhm.
So that healing led me to, oh, be more present, provide more love, put more life into the nonprofit, and to be more vocal certainly at work and certainly with my customers. Again, about love, but having to use the cover of psychological safety to really make sure that my team, my internal team at work, and that my customers were touching something beyond the ones and zeros, beyond the spreadsheets, and beyond the widgets that were going to get produced. So that was it was a not a direct path, but a
Mhm.
path that I'm grateful for.
Talk about transmuting pain and turning it into powerful purpose. Hey, I think this is one of the things that I resonated with you so deeply on. And when we first connected, we both have a very progressionist mindset in regards to what leadership development requires here in a
Mm,
modern day world. And so, right off the draw, we're talking about love in the context of big business, and we're talking about psychedelics and healing in the context of what inspired you to become a conscious leader and get on this mission. Yeah, so I want that's where I want to go next in terms of just some of your perspective on what conscious leadership means to you and what that development for conscious leadership requires here in 2026. I mean, what we've been talking about on the show, Raymond, Tracy and I is just, as heart-centric, empathic leaders, the intensity that we're feeling in the ethers right now. I mean, I can't remember a
Mm.
time when I felt it to be more intense than I have felt it to be over the last 6 months in the trenches serving my leaders. So,
Mm.
what does conscious leadership mean to you? And what does a conscious leader need to be kind of going outside the comfort zone on in regards to their development to meet the demands of that intensity?
Yeah, a conscious leader needs to be able to bring their whole self. And I don't think there's enough of a runway, or there aren't enough models to refer back to. One of my loves is American football. The Seattle Seahawks are my team. I
Go
would do a whole
Seahawks.
podcast. Thank you, go Seahawks, Super Bowl winners. I would honestly, I could talk about them all day long. But in the context of a conscious leader bringing the whole self, what I was about to say is that there isn't a model, there isn't enough runway to say, oh, this is what conscious leadership looks like. I'm just going to follow these three people, and I'm going to follow these three people in the realm of business. And that's all I need to do is to be a conscious leader. I'll model those behaviors, I'll model that person, and then bam, I'll be a conscious leader. And the people following me, they'll be conscious leaders as well. Of course, there are conscious leaders in uh, any number of aspects of life. You can go through
Mhm,
history and you can point to my go-to Martin Luther King Jr. Oh,
mhm,
conscious leader. It's like easy
mhm.
to go to history to find conscious leaders. But when I think of, I need to, I'm struggling. I just looked at the fourth quarter earnings. I'm looking at the Q1 projections. I need to get a conscious leader on the phone to stop me from throwing my cup of coffee, or to stop me from doing the subtle things that leaders do when they tune up their LinkedIn network so they can start to prepare an exit strategy for themselves. Like, okay,
Mm,
I know I'm not going to leave right away, but I'm going to leave in like a year because I can see the writing on this wall. This isn't going well.
mhm,
And I think a part of that burnout, that the leaving, all that, it's because the conscious leader, the model, it's found in your coaching. It's found in ways, it's certainly found that way. But in
mhm,
terms of being able to reach inside the organization and say, I'm going to call up Paula, or I'm going to call up Bill, and they're a conscious leader, and I can bring my whole self, which is a part of being a conscious leader. I can talk about my fears, concerns, worries to this person I work with. They'll be able to translate that into, oh, this is this related to that wound you talked about around your first divorce? Is this all tied together? Because
mhm,
given what this person said, like maybe they're not worried about all the things that you're worried about. So conscious leadership, whole self,
mhm.
full communication. Again, going back to psychological safety, knowing that you can say all that and that you won't get roasted, that it won't get turned back on you, and then being able to point that giant intellect that's needed in that giant conscious intellect that's needed in business to say, oh, these are the three things I need to do. And better yet, these are the three things I can do that are within my control, and I can firmly and say with certainty to the board, here are all the things outside of our control. But as a business unit, as a team, as a division, what have you, we're going to focus on these things. And speaking from that place, they'll know from their core that they're speaking with certainty. They're speaking with purpose, and they're speaking with truth.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Yeah, no, I think this is why I'm asking the question, right? As it pertains to psychological safety, is that if you're not consciously stepping to this helm right about now with the intensities that are, ever increasing all around us. I mean, day by day, it's getting more intense. I
Mm,
feel like over the last couple of weeks, even, right? And so we're saying, oh my gosh, we can't even talk about love in the context of big business, right? Because that's this ooey gooey emotion. But that's what we're saying is also a vital aspect of becoming a conscious leader, right? Is understanding the energies that you're actually leading your business in. And so if you don't have these practices in terms of understanding how those fourth quarter projections or earnings or whatever are hitting your nervous system, then you're not going to be able to maintain or sustain psychological safety in your locker rooms, right? Because if
Yeah.
we don't have that emotional intelligence, which is a vital aspect of the conscious leadership coaching that I do with my leaders, and I'm
Mm.
doubling down on right about now. I'm doing that strategically because I know if they don't have safety in their nervous systems, they're not going to be able to govern that on behalf of their peoples.
Absolutely. And
About that.
if they're not able to touch that love, psychological safety, call it what you will, if they're not able to touch that core in themselves, then guaranteed they're not providing enough space for their subordinates, for their peers to come to them and say, oh, am thinking about my time in software development. Oh, I think that I don't, this
Mhm.
project isn't going well, or we're 3 sprints behind. Like
Yeah.
the fear that lives behind the wall
Mhm.
of saying I've failed in a small way. If you're not a conscious leader, if you can't hold that sort of space where people can come to you with their failures, with their problems, then right there you're impacting the bottom line, and it's all in the background. If
Mhm.
you're not a conscious leader, you're not present to it. And maybe I love that you went to emotional intelligence to be on a stand-up meeting or to be in a boardroom or to deliver an executive summary and to be able to read the room, to be able to feel after you've delivered all the information, after you've done all the homework, you've done your diligence, to be able to feel, oh, wait a minute, there's something missing. This CEO, this COO, they need to hear something else. And also having a space to say in a businessy way, however you want to structure it, to be able to say, I don't know what's missing, but please tell me about your past experiences. I get a sense that there's something else that you want to have delivered. Just being able to open yourself up to that I don't know, but
Mhm.
and the but certainly me, my team and I, we can get it done.
Mhm.
So yeah, just conscious leadership has to hold the doorway open for I don't know,
Mhm.
uh, but without floundering,
Mhm.
because there's I don't know, and then the I don't know can absolutely become an exploration.
Oh my gosh. Have you ever heard of the I don't know CEO? I
I have
can't
not.
remember her name or which company she's from, but that's her classic move for psych safety. She just stands at the front of the meeting and she just says, I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. How about
Mm,
your thoughts on this subject? And that's just her whole way of engaging her people's valuable thoughts, ideas, and perspectives, right? But I want to talk about that, like to actually stand at the front of your team meetings right now and admit that you don't know. That's a very vulnerable exercise. That takes a lot of security in the nervous system of that leader at that helm. And that's why I feel like, and this is the connection point I want to speak about. Yeah, that's why I think we have to actually be talking about healing in the context of leadership development and training, is because, yeah, even just talking about psychedelics and the experience that you just went through, right? For us to be able
mm,
to do the reconciliation work that you just described you were able to do by accessing that type of outside the box leadership development modality, yeah, obviously that creates a lot more safety and security in your nervous system. That's where healing actually connects to growth, right? And our ability to have
mm.
max impact on our teams. Yeah, so what are your
Yeah,
thoughts? Yeah, in regards to, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I just had another nugget drop in. It reminded me, shortly after one of my uh, again, set and setting, whoever people who are engaging in psychedelics, they hopefully they know that set and setting safety, that it's incredibly important. That going to some sort of spa where they're like, oh yeah, this is something we have in the menu, you should give it a try, like you're going to have hors d'oeuvres or something.
Mhm.
That's not the way to go. That
Mhm.
you go into it with with uh, seriousness, with your eyes wide open, asking lots of questions, making sure the people you're working with are credentialed,
Mhm.
and even that they have a lineage of a sort, like not oh, I went to a 6 week boot camp and now I've got a credential, but that
Mhm.
they have years of experience and they understand the ins and the outs of a multi-dimensional experience. So that was a bit of that was
Very
a
important.
off on a
Thank you for
yeah,
mentioning
yeah.
that. Hmm.
But the nugget that dropped in, I was just when you were saying about the I don't know CO and the vulnerability. I'm
Hmm.
thinking of a meeting that I was leading where there was something missing, and I didn't know what it was. Uh, I didn't know what it was, and I didn't even know what question to ask. But I really think because of the integration work post
Hmm.
psychedelic experience,
Hmm.
because of the yoga, the meditation, the scaffolding that I let my insights from psychedelic experience sort of hang on and build something, I called a pause in the middle of the meeting, and I
Hmm.
said, "You need to take a 5 minute break. Like everybody, check your phone, see what you got to do, but we're taking a 5 minute break." And I left the room and I walked outside and I just stood outside and stared off in the distance for
Hmm.
5 minutes. And what I needed, but that I didn't have words for, is I needed a nervous system reset. I
Hmm.
needed a break because there was something getting missed in the meeting. And when I came back fully refreshed, the thought descended on me. It's like, oh, we haven't talked at all about the second quarter. We're deep into it was the third quarter of whatever year it was, but I knew that the project was going to leap forward into that next year and that we had to talk about what we were going to do to build the foundation to make sure that Q2 was successful based on what we were talking about around the third quarter. It was nonlinear. It was not in a notebook, not in anyone's
Hmm.
planning, but it's like, oh, it made perfect sense given the scope of the project we were talking about. So, in that way, being a conscious leader, allowing for uh, the break, the unusual, just giving pause to let the room, like as if
Hmm.
the room were a living organism, like just to
Hmm.
let it breathe. So that's
Hmm.
the nugget that dropped in that I wanted to make sure we touched on a little bit.
And I think that's an example, a very powerful example, thank you, of what conscious leadership practices mean or what they can look like, because obviously we're talking about psychedelics, which is a much bigger undertaking
Mm,
for a leader's development. And then we're just talking about it as one of the modalities, right? That leaders can access to be able to work with maybe some of that aspect of their belief systems, let's say, that might be beyond their recognition, meaning it's something that maybe they're not able to actually understand in their contextual day to day experience, right? But I think, yeah, just having that 5 minutes to step outside of the boardroom to practice that
mm,
self regulation, to me, that's emotional intelligence in our self leadership right there. And that's why we're talking about all of these conscious leadership
yeah.
practices, right? Because really, in the context of what we're describing, psychological safety, that's what it requires. Whether it's a 5 minute reset or you going on a retreat to do some deeper work so that you can get at
Mm,
something that's taking you out of that alignment and making it impossible for you to get out of a sympathetic, overdrive, let's say, because of the intensities that are going on in the world. Yeah, I think that whatever the practice, we're talking about these practices because we want to put this on the leader's roadmap in terms of, yeah, the things that we believe are going to become the table stakes for leaders' development from this point forward. I mean, let's talk about it, right? Because
mhm.
psychological safety is what underpins innovation. That's why it's not this fluffy, lovey, soft, hippie kind of thing, When we're talking about this in the context of leadership development and training, it's based on hard neuroscience, data, and research. And this is absolutely what we know to be the baseline foundation for the highest performing teams on the planet. But sprinkle a little disruption into the mix, and all of a sudden,
Mm,
it becomes harder and harder for leaders to stay consciously at the helm and thus keep their people engaged in psychologically safe ways.
yeah. Yep.
Right? Right?
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts
Yep.
on that?
Just that I immediately go to, well, what's the solution?
Hmm.
And for the conscious leader, it's having a North Star, you can call it your core values, you can call it your mission and vision, but something that lives. So when one is overwhelmed by the next step, first you have to be overwhelmed. You have to be willing to admit that you're overwhelmed by the next step, that
Mm-hmm.
you don't know how you're going to make the year over year number that you said you were going to make. You have
Mm-hmm.
to be willing to admit that to yourself and hopefully to another in dialogue. That's always great. Better to mix it
Mm-hmm.
with air, with
Hmm.
a trusted confidant.
Or a
But
coach.
again, or a coach. There you go, perfect. A coach, and then being able to maybe even extend that to a peer group in the
Mm-hmm.
I mean the locker room that you
Mm-hmm.
that you
Hmm.
speak of.
Hmm.
So being able to do that.
Is
No,
crucial in 2026 and
it's
beyond. Because I honestly, this is what I'm trying to figure out, Raymond, and all the conversations I'm having with my leaders, we know what most of them are stressing about. It's this arrival of AI and just the
mm,
insane acceleration that we're seeing. I actually read an article this morning saying that this expert was predicting that 99% of jobs were going to be replaced by 2027 or 2028, I think.
mm,
And I'm just like, what
mm,
does that even mean? Like, I don't even know how
yeah,
we prepare as humanity for something that's going to be that cataclysmic in terms of the level of disruption. So let's just say that guy was being a little dramatic. Even if it's half
yeah,
of that rate in that
mm,
short amount of time, it's going to be hella disruptive, right?
yeah, yep.
So what is your advice to any conscious leader that's listening out there that's trying to prepare for that level of disruption right now?
Simply said, breathe. That's the first one. Just breathe.
Hmm.
And the second is to ask more questions. I mean, the the marketplace is filled with people who say they are AI experts, and I find it, given the large language models have been around for a long time. But frankly, for someone to pop into your office or onto your LinkedIn or into your boardroom and say, I'm an AI expert, you have to ask more questions like, oh, really? How so?
Hmm.
What's your background? Did, did, did you work at OpenAI? Did you help develop the current iteration of, I think we're on ChatGPT 5.2? Like, I actually ask the hard questions. And I know as a leader, we like to go to our network to get our information. But even asking our network when they're getting their information, just asking the second question, how do you know that that's valid?
Hmm.
What's your source? As a child writing book reports, it was drilled into us that you had to get three sources. And this is getting in the Wayback Machine, going to the card catalog and saying, okay, it's got to be a book. Then it has to be a different book or some other magazine. There have to be three different sources.
Hmm.
So I say that to our conscious leaders, the breathing in the face of all things AI, asking the first, second, and third questions, and taking a pause to see let me go back to when I say ask the second and third questions. If they're saying this is the effect that AI can have, we're going to bring AI into the business. It's going to reduce our expenses by 30%. We're going to lay off hundreds of people, but the business is going to grow exponentially year over year. Like that's a vague but great pitch. But being able to ask the second question, well, what if we only use AI in a limited way? What if we don't lay off hundreds of people? What if we use AI to make the business more efficient, but we also start to reach out to see how can we grow our, lack of a better expression, our human capital?
Hmm.
Because I think the thing that leaders may be missing in making their choice about what to do with AI is asking the next question, what's going to happen to all the people?
Hmm.
Like those people need to feed their families. Those people
Hmm.
need to earn incomes. They need to do all the things that people need to do. They're just
Hmm.
like that leader who's making the decision. So is it that AI is going to cause it's a 10% increase? But in doing analysis, in doing the old-fashioned work, what if your old-fashioned efforts augmented with AI are a 7% increase? Okay, well, now we're talking about the difference of the 10% increase versus a 7% increase, less disruption versus minor disruption, and also being able to stand back and get a fuller picture of not does what does 2027 look like, but
Mhm.
starting to dream about, and it is a dream because no one can say, oh, here's a forecast for 2027 and 2028, but letting oneself start to dream about, oh, I've retained these people, I've implemented AI in a conscious, methodical manner. What does that look like? Being able to look from there as opposed to just saying, in shortened breath, in panicky style, oh, I've got to jump on the AI bandwagon X before X happens, and no one can tell you exactly what that X really is.
Hence the level of uncertainty, hence the level
Is
of stress being triggered by our amygdalas,
mm,
right? Is like
hmm hmm
it is. It's just there's no expert out there that can predict any of this with any ounce of certainty. It's all just projections. And everybody's got their own algorithm for that in terms of how they're projecting it. But I think where I'm going in the trenches when I'm coaching my leaders on their stress is like I'm really just trying to make sure that we stay grounded in their standards and their principles and their ethics and their values, right? Because when you're talking about creating guardrails around AI, that's what a
mm,
conscious leader needs to do. This is an unregulated space. What are the morals and ethics associated with this space as it pertains to how it's going to impact us human beings? There are
yeah,
none.
exactly. And to your point, that's why the conscious leader has to have a North Star. They have to have those values, those standards, those ideals drive them instead of letting this thing, which is AI, somehow drive.
Hmm.
It,
Exactly.
it's, I mean, it's artificial intelligence, but it's not intelligent.
Hmm.
It's not human intelligence. Uh,
Self-aware.
it's, it's
It's
not
def
self-aware.
or empathic.
Definitely not. It can, which is, I mean, scary. It can pretend to be empathic, but it's
Hmm.
definitely not
Hmm.
empathic.
Hmm.
And when I think of it in the business world, it's not someone you can't call AI into your office and say, talk me through why you made this decision and what you think the impacts will be.
Hmm.
To have that engagement, you can certainly put a bunch of information into it, get a bunch of information out, and you can even ask it to review itself again so that you
Hmm.
have that sort of uh, pretend feedback.
Hmm.
But honestly, the human engagement where they can think about all the things that a
Hmm.
computer or a large warehouse of computers
Hmm.
isn't thinking about and won't think about.
Hmm.
It just the context that a human, like the context that a conscious leader brings to the use of AI
Hmm.
is going to be the thing that shapes our future.
I agree. Amen to that.
Yeah.
That's, I think, where I want to land this plane with you, sir, is we're talking about the North Star, and this is why you and I are such good friends, because this is how I think about it too, right? I think about it from the perspective of our legacy, right? Like in
Mm,
terms of the impact that we are on these missions to have as it pertains to our values, but also as it pertains to humanity's values and the world's values, right? That's why I take my leaders all the way up into the right aspirationally as far as the rocking chair to get them
mm,
to think about how they want to feel before that shot clock runs out, which is always going to be a reflection of how you made it count, right? In terms of the
yeah.
time that you had in this meat suit. So
That's right. That's
I,
right.
I want to ask you, sir, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you while I have you on the show. What do you want your legacy to be as a conscious leader?
That people have that they have an experience of clarity. So I'm a consultant. I'm not a business coach. I really focus on outcomes and results based on the structures that we establish, based on goals and timelines. So I think about people just having that sense of clarity if they're in that rocking chair, they're on their deathbed, or maybe it's just a milestone before that. They're at their retirement and they're looking back saying, what did I produce? Being able to see with clarity that they took their mission and vision and they could see where it has lived and where it will live in whatever enterprise that they were working in. And hopefully they've done all that work. They've done all that work in a conscious way. And because it's likely been their life's passion and work, they can see with clarity where love has taken root, and whether that's a junior that they help become a senior, and that person is working with passion and purpose, and that person is fulfilled in their job and in their family life. That's the sort of clarity that I wish for the individuals that I work with to have.
I love it. And I know it to be true about you and the impact that you're certainly have it, because what you just described is how you've helped me feel as a leader of my business and the work that we've been doing on the sidelines. The last
Mm.
place I'll leave this today is to ask you if you could leave our audience with any final words of wisdom or inspiration as it pertains to this conversation today, Raymond, anything that you'd like to leave them with?
Last words of wisdom: just breathe. It's going to be okay. You can absolutely trust yourself. You can absolutely trust that feeling inside of you that tells you what the next right step is.
Mhm.
And if you need help, you've got friends, family, and you've got coaches. So don't hesitate to reach out. We're all in this together.
In it to win it together. That is definitely the spirit in this locker room today. Raymond, thank you
Mm.
so much for coming in and sharing your wisdom with our people when they need this type of inspiration more than ever, I do believe. For all our friends listening, I know you're going to want to reach out and contact Raymond on the sidelines. You can head on over to his website, RaymondUssery.com. And then anywhere else that they might find you on LinkedIn, perhaps, or
Certainly on LinkedIn, going to my website is the best, but on LinkedIn, I'm publishing articles on Medium and on Substack. There aren't too many Raymond Usseries out there, so you will find me.
amazing. And if there's any confusion, just go on over to his website. You can find his email there and send him a note. I know he loves having conscious conversations as much as I do with leaders
Absolutely.
right about now. For all other inquiries in and around our mission to change the way this game's being played, or to, yeah, explore some of this conscious leadership coaching yourself, head on over to our website, elitehighperformance.com. You can find out everything that you need to in regards to all the amazing opportunities to develop in this conscious way. Please send us your feedback. Leave us a note. Let us know how you're liking this new iteration here at the podcast. I am definitely high flying in this new fire horse energy. This is why we're
Mm.
calling it the Conscious Leadership Revolution, because boy, oh boy, was our Tracy and I's intuition correct when we were feeling the intensity coming? We are in the intensity now. So let's go, folks. Leave us a comment. Let us know how you're resonating with these new concepts and topics around conscious leadership. Either leave us a note below, or you can even send me an email, susan@elitehighperformance.com. You know how much I love hearing from my conscious leaders. That's it. And that's all for this week. Raymond, thank you so much for coming in.
Mm.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And we will see you all next week.